Hello there, welcome back to another week of videos. First announcement is I'm taking a week off, or a week or two off, after this set of videos. Mainly because I do that every so often, just to try and keep the quality, so that I've had time to have a break, to catch up on films that I'm going to do in the future. So I can do it as a general decent pace that's not going to kill me, you know, and put out some decent stuff that's worth watching. So I'm taking a week or so off. Just that's the main announcement. That's it, really. Also, we're going back to Sono stuff this week. I know I said we're going to stop Sono for a bit because I'd run out of films and wanted a break. Then I was invited on from A Touch of Film and Dion Wynn's podcast about seeing Sono, so I ended up seeing a few more of his films and TV shows. So I've got more stuff to talk about now, but I'll leave a link to the discussion because it also had Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast, on. I thought it was a really good discussion, so I enjoyed it. So hopefully people who see this video hopefully will enjoy it too. Okay, so today I'm talking about Strange Circus and Forest of Love Deep Cut. Now I've not seen Forest of Love theatrical cut just before I start. I haven't seen it, I'm only going by the longer cut. The reason I'm pairing these two up is they're both based on a similar set of issues, which has to do with female trauma and female projection and delusion, and just a lot of difficulties with these female characters. Like, those are the base of the films, so I thought there was a nice crossover. Also, the characters' names are the same. It's like almost has this thing of Teiko and Mitsushi, I think, are the characters' names in Forest of Love, and these are names used a lot in Strange Circus. So it's quite interesting how Sono reuses things for his films. The Strange Circus is probably one of the darkest films that you'll ever see from Sono. I doubt he'll ever go as dark as this again. He tends to, as he went on, probably once he had Love Exposure, that kind of was his entrance to the world stage, like artistically and as a person to watch. He tended to balance the light and the dark really well in his films. Before that, I think he was a bit more one note as a director. He would have a lot of films, but they tended to follow more genre streams, and it was less liberated, I find, at least. Feel free to disagree with me on that one, but that's just my interpretation of what I've seen of his earlier pre-Love Exposure films. Like Suicide Club feel a lot bit more genre based, a lot bit more tied into genre, and a little bit more one note. And Next Day feels the same, and this one feels the same. This one is more brutal because it deals with incest and deals with the trauma of incest, the trauma of families where incest is taking place, and it's a story about that seen through fiction. So Strange Circus is a very hard film to find, so it's a film that you will have difficulties finding, but it can be found. So Strange Circus is a very difficult film. It's complicated, it's nasty, and it does have a one note feel to it that's all about the trauma, and it's something that really gets under your skin a lot. It really feels a bit nastier than any of his other films. You do feel traumatised by the end of it, and it's kind of like the most brutal remake of Psycho ever, where all of the niceties are gone. It's kind of like to Psycho what Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me was to Twin Peaks TV show. It's got that feel to it of just pure trauma. I think Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me is a much better film than this. This one is a darker film that does feel about one note and very much like it's punched in the face repeatedly. So it starts off in the story, telling the story of this little girl, Mitsushi, who had a good time as a child, then suddenly she woke up in a trauma where she saw her parents having sex, and then suddenly her father forced himself upon her and made his mother watch it. Very traumatising. Then, according to this story, which is viewed as a story initially, her mother got jealous, attacked her, and her mother ended up dying accidentally and leaving her with the father to molest her. She ends up falling off a building, losing the ability to walk, and that's where the story sort of ends. Then you go into the real world apparently, where this author Teiko is the person writing these stories, and she's made all these perverse stories, made her a lot of money, but she's obviously a very damaged person. So a publisher brings her this young man who wants to be her assistant for this next new book. And she always writes about this character Mitsuko, and she it's almost like she identifies with this character. And as the film goes on, you start to wonder how much of this story is reality, how much is it fiction, and how does it all interweave together in the reader's head and the person's head. Now we're going to Forest of Love. So I'm just getting the spoilers a little bit, but I'd rather go into Forest of Love first and then go into spoilers for both of them. Forest of Love is a 7-part Netflix show. It was also turned into a film. It was about 2.5 hours long. This is like 6 hours, and it's one of those films I have no idea how you could lose anything from it. So I don't know how it was a film. I need to watch the film, but I haven't got around to it yet. But from what I gather from people who'd seen the film, they felt it was like a Sono's greatest hits, a compilation that wasn't his best work. The Deep Cut I thought was one of Sono's best works. So obviously, my feeling is what they lost was a lot of the character stuff, a lot of the detail. And what Forest Love is about is a couple of different strands. You have this strand between these 3 girls who were doing this play a decade ago called about Romeo and Juliet, but they were all girls' school, so there were girls played Romeo and Juliet. The girl who played Romeo, everyone was in love with, and she died in a car accident, leaving the other girls feeling very bereft and at a loss what to do. You cut forward 10 years, one of the girls is this repressed shut, and another girl is a total slut, and they're very traumatised by their experience. One of the girls gets involved with these filmmakers who are building these production facilities and making these cheesy video movies that aren't that successful. They're just trying their best to become filmmakers, but they don't really have a subject. Into everyone's lives comes Joe Merrill, who's this slick con man who fascinates everyone because he's so confident and everyone knows he's a con man, but everyone falls for him. And he's got all these weird things like a concert where he sings to all these women who he's dealt with in the past, and even the women he's conned in the past still love him, and he's just this weird idea about how people fall for something that is bad for them, how they're addicted to things that are bad for them. And then still this problem, there's a serial killer on the loose. These 2 girls are dealing with the problems, and Joe Merrill focuses in on the repressed girl, and she becomes his fiancée. And all hell starts to break loose as the film gets more and weirder, and you get more and more details, and things go very wrong, and murder takes place, and violence, and just like a normal Sono film. Now this film is really about your perception of people and how they can be right and how they can be wrong, and whether you what you do about it, really, what do you do about people and your perceptions of them, and how they can be damaging, and how are they a fantasy or are they reality, and it's very difficult ground to be covered. So we're going to get spoilers about both films now, okay? Both films are terrific, both films you really should see. But there's only so much I can talk about without spoilers, so I'm going to talk spoilers. Strange Circus, turns out the girl's story was the story of Teiko's daughter. And Teiko's a mother, she didn't die. The daughter was sent away and disappeared. Teiko went mad and started writing these stories, which is fictionalising the imagined stories of her daughter. Turns out the boy who we see is the daughter who's cut off of the breasts and has surgery to make herself look like a man to get close to her mother to exact revenge, and the daughter has gone completely mad. But it's like, it keeps on jumping back and forward. Is this the reality or is the imagined reality the reality? It doesn't focus on one thing, but it's actually about the possible imagined realities, the possible how does trauma affect people? Does it affect their ability to comprehend? Does it affect their ability to move forward? And does it affect their ability to actually have human contact with other people that are based on reality or human nature rather than seeing them through the prism of your own trauma? And this film is about people who cannot get beyond the trauma and to fictionalise it and exploit the trauma to get through it, or someone like the girl who's survived and basically cut herself up to try and become asexual and get out of her own body. And it's that kind of attachment to trauma. She doesn't exploit herself, but she kind of destroys herself to get away from the concept of body. And the father who is butchered up and becomes a stump with a head by the mother. The mother does this. And he has become a slave to his addictions. And it's just brutal. It's just that there's no escape from your trauma. Seems to be the theory of this film. It's a wonderful film, but it's utterly brutal. It's so horrible, but it's very satisfying at the same time. But it's a very difficult film, so good luck if you see it. This is an advance warning. This is going to be traumatizing for you. It took me 3 times. I had to watch it in 3 parts because it was so dark. It's just that kind of film. Forest of Love, on the other hand, is a more... It is a post-love exposure thing where, yeah, there's a lot of darkness, but there is light within that. There are sort of human relationships within that. That in this film, they're misunderstood, or they're too well understood by other people, and it's like people's perception of each other and how they can be manipulated. But it's not all trauma, it's not all horror. Like the character, the shy character turns out not to be the person you thought she was. She is not shy. She was promiscuous behind the scenes, no one saw it. She was manipulating her supposed friend, but who she actually hated and was trying to damage as much as she could. And friend Teiko turned out to be the tragic character of the film because she was trying her best to get through a traumatic time. She had fallen into bad times, she become cynical. The love of her life had died when she was very young. And she's just trying to hang on to an image of someone who meant a lot to her. And it's like she's exploited horribly by everyone. And no matter how much she puts up a show of defiance, she's still traumatised by her own damaged soul and the people around her. And she becomes a slut just to try and get through the trauma, but she does things to hurt herself just for the sake of feeling something. And it becomes a very moving character, a very tragic, sad character. Well, the other character, the repressed character, becomes almost like an uber villain in some ways. But at the end of it, it's like you kind of hate her because your sympathies were with her for 2/3 of the film, and then it turns and you realise she's not who you thought she was. And you find out other people weren't who you thought they were either. There's a character who's a shy filmmaker who just came to Tokyo, got with the filmmakers, and you thought he was an innocent, and then he started playing Joe Mero in the film, and it's almost like he's overtaken by the character and he starts to lose all his objections to making the film and to all the morality of what they're doing, all the trauma of what they're doing. Then it turns out he was a serial killer. Like, the whole thing was a facade. He was just trying to get to the point where he could get people's trust to kill them. And it turns out Joe Merrill is just a sad con man. That's it. He's not a killer. He's not this image that was blown up to be. He's just a sad con man who keeps going from person to person. He's not anything interesting. He's the least interesting person there. He just has all these debauchery ideas and wants to keep going no matter how much money he loses. He just wants to keep going with these fantasies of himself as being something significant. And one of the more traumatizing things about it is how everyone falls for the young girl who's meant to be shy, and everyone bends over backwards to protect her, not realising she's using their protective instincts to really screw them over, because she's not who they think she is. And it's just wonderful how it becomes this sense of trauma going through this entire field of people, and the filmmakers around about them either leave or get killed, and they just have a horrible time of it. And it's just nightmarish how difficult this film is to watch, but how fun it is at other times. How innocent it seems sometimes, and some of the innocence is actually a lie. And there's teen suicide in it because it's a Sono film. There's ambiguous sexuality, ambiguous social elements, and subtle hatreds below the surface of friendships, and it's just a wonderful film. So I'd highly recommend The Deep Cut. The Deep Cut is wonderful. It's just great. And so is Strange Suckers, but Strange Suckers is harder. I mean, Forest of Love Deep Cut is 6 hours long. Strange Suckers is an hour and a half long. Forest of Love Deep Cut is actually feels shorter than Strange Suckers. That's how traumatic Strange Suckers is. So I hope you enjoyed this video about these two films. I'll be back soon with another Sono film coming up, or another Sono TV show coming up. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon.